Hi everyone, this is Raina. So I'm doing a series of videos about Venus in the different signs. And this particular video is for Venus in Taurus. And actually, Taurus is ruled by Venus. So you can already guess that somebody with Venus in Taurus is going to have an especially strong romantic nature. And I have found, and maybe this is just unscientific on my part, through observation, that people who have a prominent Taurus tend to get involved in relationships at a young age. So in my case, that's true, and I have Taurus rising. I've seen this with Sun in Taurus, and I'm sure that with Venus in Taurus, this could also be the case. And this is because the nature is automatically romantic, and that's a very important part of their lives. And I think that we could also say the same about the sign Libra, because it is ruled by not Taurus, by Venus as well. So people with a prominent Libra can also find themselves gravitating towards relationships very early in life. So what are the qualities of Venus in Taurus? Well, before I begin, I hope that you have looked below this video to find out where your Venus is, and that's how you know. It's a very simple list of the years in which Venus is in different signs. Venus takes approximately, I think it's about 3.5 weeks to go through one sign. So it can, go through each sign in transit within the year very quickly. But of course, sometimes there are retrogrades, and that slows things down. So Venus in Taurus, because Taurus is a fixed Earth sign, Venus in Taurus is very sensual. Earth signs deal with physical aspects in life. So we're talking about the sensual things, the five senses. Venus in Taurus, when they are with somebody else, it's all about how things smell. Maybe they love the smell of the other person. Maybe they just love certain things about how the person looks and how they talk. Maybe they love their voice, how they dress. That's part of the looks, obviously. And they can be very much connected to a person's physical appearance, as well as to their own physical appearance. That may be very important. And when they are in a romantic relationship, they may want to emphasize sensuality. And it's almost like sex is melded into the romantic nature. Now, this is not always the case. Even with Venus in Libra, I think that there's more of a separation there, because Libra is an air sign and it tends to be more abstract. But, you see different signs where it's more of the emotional component, like maybe Venus in Cancer. But with Venus in Taurus, it's about the sensual part of life. And I think that people with Venus in Taurus assume that they are going to be wined and dined, and that there are going to be gifts involved in this relationship. And they may even give a few gifts of their own. But there's that idea of the money exchange. And I'm not talking about in dollars and cents, but about tokens of affection. Okay. So this can be a stumbling block, because if a person is gauging the affections of another person based upon what that person gives them materially, they may assume that if they don't get certain treatment, that the person doesn't care and they may be too connected to the material side of life. And that could make them overlook some really good partners in favor of the person who is spending a lot of money on them, but maybe that person is not faithful. Maybe that person doesn't really treat them respectfully overall. And I think with all of the sun signs that are Earth, as well as the Venus signs that are Earth, they all have to guard against this mentality of money being money and material possessions being inserted into the relationship. And what does this mean? Valuing that over valuing the emotional connection. Because what can happen is the person can also, who is a Venus in Taurus, can also think that, you have to pay to play. So in other words, I have to give up, I have to open the wallet in order to attract a certain person. And they may not do this in all of their relationships. Like their friendships, they might not be that generous, but they might think that in love that you have to give that person consistent proof materially of what you feel about them, and they may attract gold diggers, people who are takers. And when I say gold digger, I'm not specifying women as the gold digger. You can have that with men too. You have these men who have sugar mamas. And the Venus in Taurus woman could be a sugar mama. And so that's something that has to be guarded against. Another trap that Venus in Taurus can fall into is over possessiveness, because Taurus is all about the second house of earned income and possessions. And so Venus rules that house. And with Venus in Taurus, there can be too much of this mundane consciousness when it comes to everything, including their partner, where they think it's their property. And so you can have somebody who gets jealous very, very easily and is like, don't talk to him or her, and is, getting, so they're like jealous if other people are talking to their partner, and they may say to their partner, don't you dare talk to so-and-so. And that can be problematic, because if you are with certain people, they may get turned off to this. There may be some signs like Cancer who take it in a good way, who think, oh, wow, this means this person cares about me. But those people should be very careful, because the Venus in Taurus person, if they're left unchecked, can be too controlling. So it never is enough for them, and they can just get more and more deep into the control issues and the possessiveness. And this can be for either gender. This is not just men towards women. Another trap is the indulgence. So, as I said before, basing your relationship on sexuality versus and also these going out to fancy restaurants and all these other things, rather than, do we really have things in common besides physical chemistry? Can we really talk about things? Do we agree? Do we have like a similar worldview? Or are we always arguing about how we view life? Do we have a meeting of the minds? Are we bored, with each other outside the bedroom? Venus in Taurus is cautious in love. And so they're not going to jump into things like Venus in Aries. And if Venus in Taurus gets hurt, they can take a long time to recover. They may have a lot of resistance to getting involved in a new relationship because of the memory of being hurt. And they may even have resentment towards somebody who hurts them, because the fixed signs like Taurus can be slow to forgive. And likewise, when they love somebody, it's very difficult for them to stop loving them. So if the other person leaves, they may kind of carry a torch for that person for a long time to come. And it can be very difficult for them to move on to a new relationship sometimes. So they really require emotional security. They need stability in relationships. It's not going to work for them if somebody is unreliable and they can't get a hold of them on the phone and things like that. So they want that peaceful, relationship that they can build a life with somebody and not have drama. They don't want drama. And I don't know why I'm saying they. This may be you. You don't want drama. But I know human nature, and I know some people are going to be cross-watching for their partner too. Now let's talk about the combination of Venus and Taurus with the different sun signs. If you have Taurus sun sign, oh my gosh, you have to really watch out for that possessiveness, as well as the tendency to be very stubborn in just in your basic ways about you, inflexible. You have to learn how to, compromise and not want things your own way. You may find a meeting ground with somebody in an artistic sense, because a Taurus loves art, and especially with singing and music. So that may be something, maybe you meet somebody in open mic night or something like that. But just watch out. You have a very, very sensual nature. Watch out for the tendency to just base your relationship on the indulgence of the physical side of life, and not give enough attention to the person's intellectual capacity or their emotional connection with you. That's so important. Now, with Aries sun, this really mellows you out, because you have a tendency to be a very impatient and volatile personality. And with Venus in Taurus, you can be much more laid back, and you may be more inclined to want a peaceful relationship and not have this drama. You may be more inclined to stick with a partner versus move on to someone new. And so you can be a very constant lover if your sun is in Aries and your Venus is in Taurus. With Gemini, this can also make you more faithful than the typical Gemini. And this can also make you more sensual, because Gemini is an air sign, and it tends to be rather abstract. It's not really in touch with the physical realm so much. And so this grounds you in love. And I think it can actually be a very good thing in a lot of ways for the average Gemini person, and make you more consistent as a lover. In other words, more loyal. Now, with Cancer, this can make you more traditional, because one thing I should have said is that Venus in Taurus is going to be more of a traditional type of lover. You may be more inclined to want to get married, for instance, and have that physical symbol, the wedding ring, of your love relationship, because let's face it, you may feel like that gives you this proof that this person belongs to you. But with the sun in Cancer, this makes you even more so like this. And it can also make you more family-oriented, wanting to raise a family, and also be security-minded with money, because both Taurus and Cancer do like to have material security, financial security. So this combination can lend itself more to that. With a sun sign in Pisces, having Venus in Taurus can also make you more loyal, because as a mutable water sign, Pisces sometimes can be emotionally fickle. And sometimes Pisces sun signs can be kind of like love the one you're with, and very easily influenced by their environment. And this makes you more loyal to a specific person, can make you more grounded. So Pisces as a water sign, but just because you're ruled by Neptune specifically, can make you a little bit dreamy and not necessarily that connected to practical things in life. And you are very creative, artistic, So being grounded with Venus and Taurus can mean that you are more inclined to form a life with somebody, and that can lead you, depending on who you end up with, to be like looking at love in a very commonsensical way. But you may connect with somebody based on creative pursuits. So I hope you enjoyed this, you guys. And if you'd like a private reading, there is a link below. It will take you to RenaMoonAstrology.com. I have different types of readings. And take care of yourselves. Bye.